History is repeated in the falling of empires, and a quote that embodies the mistakes of these empires is, "Those who cannot remember the past are condemned to repeat it," which was spoken by the philosopher, essayist, poet, and novelist, George Santayana. This presentation was created by Andrew Bullen, Ethan Lilly, and John Layman. 3 such examples of empires failing and then falling shortly after are the Roman Empire, the Mongol Empire, and the British Empire. Some of their shortcomings were as follows. Oftentimes, empires have many things that cause them to fail. The 3 common threads seen throughout the falls of these empires are that they obtained too much land to control, the struggle against violence such as wars or rebellions, and a lack of control or confusing, poor actions at the heart of its leadership. A combination of these threads will almost certainly weave itself into a nation's demise. The Roman Empire was, in its peak, a great and powerful civilization with a vast nation to its name. Rome will be a lasting name as one of the greatest political and cultural powers in history. So, the question that arises is, how could something so great collapse as it did? The Roman Empire sprouted from a small town on the Tiber River in central Italy. Rome took over Macedonia and went on many military conquests to expand their borders and met the Greeks. The Greeks allowed the Romans to contact another highly advanced culture. Pompey, another ruler, gave more power to Rome in the Mediterranean. Julius Caesar gained 3 provinces. Caesar would later become dictator of Rome until he was murdered, and Octavian took over and became the first emperor of Rome. The Roman Empire grew too large and had to be divided into 2 empires, Western and Eastern. The land mass was 5 million square kilometers. Rome brought about 2 centuries of peace and prosperity and led to Roman art, religion, architecture, and literature to grow. The Roman Empire contained most of Europe, Britain, a lot of Western Asia, North Africa, and islands in the Mediterranean. This time was known as the Golden Ages. The Western Roman Empire fell when Augustulus was defeated by a Germanic king called Odoacer. These barbarians were known as the Goths and fought the Gothic Wars against the Romans. The Battle of Adrianople was a pivotal moment for Rome's decline. The Eastern Roman Empire became the Byzantine Empire until 1453 CE. The time following would become the Dark Ages for the world due to the Roman fall. The Mongol Empire was an expansive Asian superpower of the Old World that was led consistently by strong, militaristic leaders with a desire to expand, who would lead them to their ultimate demise. The Mongol Empire was first founded between the Mongol and Turkic tribes. Temujin became the military leader from 1165 to 1227 under Togrul. Temujin then clashed with Togrul due to jealousy and an increase of power. Temujin then won the battle and through ruthless tactics unified all the Mongol tribes called the All-Mongol State. The Mongolian Empire's power expanded quickly. They defeated Xixia, modern Ningxia and Gansu provinces of China in 1209, Genghis Khan invaded northern China in 1211 and, eventually, he defeated the Jin Empire in 1234. He then proceeded to expand into Central Asia. His influence grew rapidly and he gained much territory throughout Asia. The most important factor in the expansion of the Mongol Empire was the army of Genghis Khan. By the height of their power in 1279, they controlled approximately 9.15 million square miles of land, which translates to more than 16% of the land on Earth. Between 1270 and 1309 the Mongolian Empire ruled 110 million people, which was more than a quarter of the world's population at the time. Following the death of Genghis Khan, the throne was passed on to his second son Ogedai. He was killed in battle in 1241, so his son Gyuyuk became the heir to the throne in 1246. Hulgu, another brother, led an army into the Middle East. There was confusion on who should have power due to the fact that only way known was to be a descendant of Genghis Khan. Because of this, civil war broke out in Mongolia. The empire was divided into 4 sections called the Golden Horde, Ilkhanids, Yuan dynasty, and the Chagatai Khanate in Central Asia. The British Empire was a naval superpower that had an empire spanning the entire globe, its influence causing arguably more progression of human society than many other civilizations combined. Britain has been a powerful player in world politics and in war, so how great were they and how did they fall? The first British expansion was their invasion of the wilderness of Ireland, claimed as an official part of Britain by 1494. Britain has much naval power due to their detachment from mainland Europe, and they used this power to spread their colonies all across the planet. Britain also used its naval power and control over the northwest coast of mainland Europe to develop an elaborate system of trade that ultimately would make them incredibly wealthy. Britain's time in power consisted heavily of colonizing other areas of the world, like Africa and America. Britain took control of India in 1858, which became a source of valuable resources like salt. England went so far as to settle Australia, using it as an inescapable prison to hold criminals from England. England conquered places far away from itself, which, in essence, was the root of their vast power, their capability to expand. They were far ahead of their time in terms of ruling a large area. They maintained fair control over their several outposts around the world for an extensive period. Britain was made a major world player by its immense sea control and its state of isolation from the rest of mainland Europe. Their isolation forced them to develop a strong naval presence and, in order to expand, branch out over the ocean. The earliest real evidence that the fall of Great Britain's economic empire was approaching was their loss of control on America. America has grown to be one of the most powerful single countries on the planet. Another landmark failure for the British was its loss of their hold on India around 1947, which lost them some income, as well as the world wars around the same period. The world wars were a sizable hit to the empire, with the immense costs and other detriments, such as casualties. The British Empire was forced to slacken its grip on its colonies, causing the prospect of world control to fall out of possibility shortly after. Britain is, to this day, staggering from the blows of the loss of America and the losses of the world wars. But where will the former superpower end up in its future? Our prediction for the future involves an elaborate sequence of drawn-out conflicts that will lead to the collapse of human civilization as a whole in a virtually inevitable nuclear war. We predict the war to be started between India and Pakistan sometime around the year 2040. Growing over the past several years, tensions have worsened amongst the two countries, and war has been a probable outcome from those tensions. Land disputes. The battles will start out as typical wars do in the world today, without nuclear weapons. But as the war extends longer and longer and both sides lose many more lives, Pakistan, the weaker of the two sides, will come to the conclusion of using nuclear weapons. India has 40 cities with at least 1 million people, whereas Pakistan only has 8. Due to these statistics, Pakistan will suffer far worse major blows than India in a ping-pong battle of nukes. China has a very strong relationship with Pakistan and aids them in defeating India. India will turn to its allies, America, France, Britain, and Israel, for assistance. However, China and Pakistan will look to further help from Russia and North Korea. Both sides will be looking for the other to declare peace or surrender. It seems plausible to predict that neither side will back down, and this persistence will bring about another world war. With the abundant nuclear power each side has, the use of them to win could occur and, naturally, would incur the consequences of mass nuclear warfare, such as fallout. In a worldwide nuclear war there would be no winners. All countries involved would suffer numerous casualties and the total blockage of sunlight from the planet's surface, not to mention the unlivable conditions of locations near nuclear fallout. It would result in the collapse of human civilization and the death of most of humanity. Overall, the fall of the human species is nearly inevitable due to the repetition of history. These can be seen through the downfall of the Roman, Mongol, and British empires. This would be caused through a nuclear war with alliances due to poor decisions by leaders, alliances made, and land, resources wanted or disputed over. Nuclear war seems to be the most likely cause due to the abundant arsenals that some countries have.